It's the 20th of June, 2024. Good morning to you and welcome. It's Thursday. Of course, this is the voice of the people. My name is Gesiri Agua. Good morning and welcome to the show. I hope you spent your night resting peacefully and properly because another day, another grind. Anyway, looking at the news this morning, we're seeing Rivers is in the news. Of course, they'll be in the news looking at all that has played out with the local government chairman. Rivers plans parallel secretariats as police bar Fubara caretaker chairman. The Rivers State Governor, Siminalayi Fubara, has said 23 local government councils in the state will operate from alternative secretariats following Tuesday's sealing of the councils by the police. The governor, who said this after swearing in the 23 local government caretaker committee chairman on Wednesday in Port Harcourt, the state capital, said they could operate from anywhere. Fubara stated this as the police barred the newly inaugurated caretaker chairman from accessing their offices in all the 23 local government headquarters. The secretariats were barricaded with police patrol vans manned by armed policemen. It's really interesting how we're seeing the drama unfolding. Just when you think Iwike has been backed into a corner, you see another kind of response, because this is a power tussle right here. We've been talking about this for a moment, and it's the battle for the wallet of the state. So we're watching to see just exactly how that will play out. This is just as the APC is begging Tinubu in the state to declare a state of emergency in the Rivers State crisis. Well, for the second time in less than 4 months, we have the APC Rivers State chapter calling on the president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, to save Rivers from gliding into a total anarchy by declaring a state of emergency just to save lives and property of Nigerians who are resident in the state. Now, the APC is also wanting armed soldiers posted to strategic places across the state to guide against total breakdown of law and order. And they added that non-state actors have already been hired from the creeks of the Niger Delta, allegedly by the Chief of Staff, Government House, Port Harcourt, Right Honorable Edison Ehie, to cause serious mayhem on innocent people. Well, this is really, really interesting. We'll get Rufai's take on this as well as Mr. Larry's. It's really interesting to see how the drama is playing out. It's really interesting to see how this drama has unfolded, and we're waiting to find out just what will be the end of it. Some people were speculating that Iwike must have sheathed his sword, but it doesn't seem as though he's ready to let go of the politics in the state. Well, will the president intervene? We'll watch and see. And to what extent will he be intervening, or will he stay mum? Or we see the powers that be work from behind. Well, looking at all that, we're still seeing it for Fubara as well, fighting for the democracy of the state. He says he's defending democracy and constitution in Rivers. Fubara declares that the Rivers State Governor, Siminalayi Fubara, has said his prompt appointment of the caretaker chairman for the state's local governments following the ejection of council chairmen who had tried to extend their tenure was in defense of constitutional democracy. He said yesterday while swearing in the chairman of the caretaker committee. This is before the police went ahead to seal the place. Fubara spoke yesterday in Port Harcourt while swearing in the chairman of the caretaker committees for the 23 local government areas in the state. He said the state under his watch will not set bad example for elongating the tenure of local government chairmen. The governor told the 23 caretaker chairmen who took their oath of office amid escalating tensions over the tenure of the former chairpersons that they could function from anywhere if necessary to avoid violent confrontation. And look at it, it's getting a little bit violent in Rivers State. Let's watch and see how that plays out. Looking at the fact that the police have gone ahead to bar the newly inaugurated caretaker chairman from accessing their offices in the headquarters. Well, let's watch and see how that unfolds. Looking at the news this morning, the Nigeria Center for Disease Control and Prevention on Wednesday said it might declare an emergency on the outbreak of cholera in the country. The NCDC Director General, Dr. Jide Idris, spoke in Lagos and said the center was monitoring the situation and might declare an emergency if data showed that the outbreak had gone beyond a manageable threshold. That's what the NCDC is saying. There's been a sensitization going on in the news just as to what cholera is, what it could do to your body, and one of the main symptoms is diarrhea, and you have to be careful. If you might be feeling that type of way, you should go to the hospital and get checked so that the proper care can be administered to you. Is saying that they might declare an emergency, even though they haven't found traces of that in the FCT just yet. But places like Lagos, Bayelsa have been affected, so you might want to be very, very careful. Not might, you should be very, very careful at this point. Now, moving on to Ogun State Police Command, they've initiated a manhunt to fish out a suspected hit-and-run driver who struck and killed two male travelers after knocking them off the overhead bridge at the Kara Market on the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. We hope that they find this perpetrator and let the full wrath of the law be visited upon him. Now, the leader of the IPOB, Indigenous People of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, on Wednesday denounced the killings in the southeast over the group's agitations for secession. He also appealed for an out-of-court settlement of his ongoing treason trial by the federal government. Nnamdi Kanu has been in the news. His court case has been ongoing, and we're watching to see just what the still in court. The Justice Inyang Eko of the Federal High Court, Abuja, on Wednesday dismissed the fundamental rights enforcement suit filed by the African Regional Manager of Binance Holdings Limited, Nadine Anjawala, who was on the run, against the National Security Advisor and the EFCC. Justice Eko, in a short ruling, dismissed the suit for lack of diligent process, has been embattled with the federal government in a case of tax evasions and all of that. So we're watching to see just what the court would say in this particular case. Apparently, the African Regional Manager of Binance just rising 223.2% to 769.62 naira per litre. This is what the NBS has said. The national average retail price paid by consumers for the PMS, otherwise known as petrol, increased year on year by 223.2%. 615 if you're buying at NNPC, and then varying prices for all the others, all the other filling stations, outlets out there. Well, we're hoping that the federal government will look at this holistically and do what they can to protect Nigerians from this hardship that it is facing at the moment. Meanwhile, on the international scene, Biden has announced protection for undocumented spouses of U.S. citizens, offering work permits and path to residency amid immigration reforms. Now, President Joe Biden is set to unveil a new policy aimed at protecting hundreds of thousands of undocumented spouses of U.S. citizens from deportation, according to administration officials. Now, the new measure is targeting those who have resided in the country for at least 10 years. It will allow them to work legally in the U.S. This initiative marks the most substantial relief program for undocumented migrants in the U.S. since the Obama administration introduced the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, DACA, in 2012. Well, we're seeing this in response to which was the total opposite of what I forget his name now, of what the former president, who has been embattled with the court cases here and there, I don't know. So anyway, that was his response, which is the total opposite of what Joe Biden has announced. Protection for undocumented spouses of U.S. citizens, offering work permits and path to residency amid immigration reforms as well. Looking at the federal government right here in Nigeria, It eyes $4.4 billion in new loans as debt hits 101 trillion naira. Federal government eyes $4.4 billion new loans as debt hits 101 trillion naira. The federal government has borrowed a total of $4.595 billion in loans from the World Bank in the past 12 months, pushing the total public debt to 101 trillion naira amidst worries about the increasing cost of servicing external debts. Now, the nation's public debt was put at approximately 97 trillion naira as of December 2023, according to the DMO. This came as the government still expects fresh loan approvals worth $4.4 billion from international lenders and the AFDB over the next 1 year. An analyst showed that the bank approved funding for 6 projects, including $750 million for power sector financing, $500 million for women empowerment, $700 million for girl child education, and $750 million for renewable energy solutions, $750 million on resource mobilization reforms, and $1.5 billion for this money will be disbursed. Well, will Nigerians see the fruits? Will they reap the fruits of this investment as what the federal government has been planning? Meanwhile, the Nigerian to space. The Chief Uche Nnaji's flight was a major aspiration for Nigeria. It's not just a random aspiration for the country, but a major objective of the Nigerian space policy and program, which was approved by the FEC in 2001. Reviving and implementing all abandoned national plans is a cardinal point for the renewed hope agenda of the administration of the President, Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Some people are saying this is an amazing feat, but is it properly timed? Well, we get to find out all that in just a bit. I'll take a break. Well, it's time for Who Said What. Was checking out some of the trending audio in the news this morning. Right now, we're seeing the State House of Assembly has the power to determine the tenure of the local government area chairman. This is according to Frank Tietie, who's an analyst. He said across the country it is flexible. Some states do 2 years, while others have 3 years as well. Let's listen to what he had to say. This is in relation to Rivers State and what exactly is occurring in there at the moment.
Establishes, provides for the existence of local government councils by democratically elected council members, not by the fiat of a governor, nor by or by the National Assembly. I mean, the House of Assembly. What the Constitution does, give to the House of Assembly is that it should make a law with regards to the composition, the establishment, the functions, and it's the members, what they should do.
Right.
It didn't mention tenure. However, in practice, and going by the various local government laws that have been made over the years, given since 1976 to date, the state government, the State House of Assembly has the power to determine the tenure. And across the country, it's flexible. There are some states where you have 2 years, others have 3 years, and there has been a clamor for 4 years. So it's express. What the Constitution presupposes is that at every material time, there must be a democratically elected group of persons who form the council government of a local government council in this country. There is absolutely no provision for caretaker committees. It is unknown to Nigerian law.
Like the governor is trying to...
Whatever it is, well, the governor has been smart not to use the word caretaker committee, but to say heads of the administration in the local government council should take over, which is also an attempt to, make nonsense of the Constitution. The reason is that the Constitution is very, very strict about it, and the Supreme Court has also emphasized it. At no point in time should the local government system, which is by democratically elected members of the council, should be, should be prevented from existence. At every material time, the local government councils must be in place by persons, run by persons who are democratically elected. That is what the Constitution says. It's clear. Now, it also behoves, the responsibility behoves on those who man, especially the executive, given that is the president and governors, the affected governors, to ensure that at every point in time, whenever the tenures of council members of a local government, the tenure is about to expire, they must, according to Section 150 of the Electoral Act, together with the provisions of the Constitution which allow State House of Assembly to make laws to get in recognition of the fact that there exists a state independent electoral commission to conduct elections, to fill those positions. So what we have here is a crisis of persons who have deliberately decided to disregard the provisions of the law. You always find breakdown of peace and order when you disregard the law. So the contestation in Rivers State should be, what does the law say as a matter of fact? And you cannot, benefit from your own wrong. I do not wish to support any group, but as governor, you can't be talking like a military man giving directives where you do not have the jurisdiction, where the Constitution does not give you that right to say, I direct, I do this, I do this. No, it's wrong. The governor should have been preoccupied.
Yeah, what really should be the role of the governor in this situation?
He's supposed to implement the law.
Right.
And he has an advisor in the person of the Attorney General of the state, who, to give him clear-cut direction as to what the law says. So not by circumventing the law. And, especially, the case of Rivers becomes a bit, interesting when you have it now is said to be controversial because of conflicting court judgments and orders. However, it's important that there can't be a vacuum. In the space of a vacuum, you must turn to a law that is not yet set aside.
Well, that was Frank Tietie and his analysis on this particular situation going on in Rivers State. He says too wrong doesn't make it right, and he's also talked about the fact that you can't benefit from your own mistakes at this point. Well, let's see how that drama is playing out in Rivers State. Moving on to still in Rivers, rather, some people think that Fubara is not allowed to work, but is just not allowed to dominate in Rivers State. This is according to Senator Ka Nwongo, who is a former PDP senator representing Rivers Southeast. He said the fight with Wike is in the field of politics, not governance. He still gets his allocations, and as such, should be working.
I was there. Curiously asked so many times, does anybody disagree with any of the items, 8 points, and each one, everybody was okay. And then he called for parties to sign, and they all signed. Unfortunately, no sooner we should respect the president. We should understand that he's not from our state, but as a leader of the country, he's trying to help us at a time when we seem to have lost our own bearing. It's only Mr. President that can provide that platform for a political solution. However, the one he did before, is still good.
Yeah, but the easiest way to sort this thing out is to let the executive governor be the executive governor. I mean, that is his turf. He's elected by the people.
You know, this
And it's as simple as that.
No.
Just let him do his job and don't interfere in his job.
You see, this is the narrative that has deceived a lot of people. The governor is not allowed to work. No, what is happening is that the governor is not allowed to dominate. The work of the governor.
I don't understand what you mean by dominate.
Allow me answer.
Right, okay.
The work of the governor, by constitution and by law, is to provide, take care of the welfare, the security, etc., of the place, to make the people pursue their happiness and
and in that
prosperity
process,
without
not to
this
share his responsibilities with someone else.
Listen, no. The battle is in the field of politics. This fight is in politics, not in governance. In the realm of governance, nobody. The governor gets his allocation. The governor decides the projects he wants to do. They were not appointed. They are not subservient to the governor. They were not brought in by the governor. In fact, it was the same day we voted. The job is not to... So when you see the assembly people ask for something, people say, allow the governor to know. The system is not framed that way. The system makes you that you elect one set of person to run government and another to check how is running government. And both must be allowed to work. Allow the state assembly do their job. Allow the governor do their job. And when both are doing their job, understand it that it's legitimate roles they are playing. So the governor cannot emasculate the assembly, which is what... When you hear the assembly people try to assert themselves, people think that, they are stopping the governor. No, there's no absolute power.
Well, I'm afraid it's a bit more complicated.
Well, let's watch and see how that plays out in Rivers State. The president also was seen yesterday at the swearing in of the President Cyril Ramaphosa in Pretoria, South Africa. There's been a lot of controversies about if the President Cyril Ramaphosa had snubbed him or not. Well, that is not even of importance because the President was duly represented, not represented in, he was fully there at the event. Let's take a listen.
Of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, could we warmly welcome the President of Nigeria and current chairperson of ECOWAS, His Excellency Chief Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
Well, the president and former President Obasanjo had arrived at the venue of the swearing-in of the President Cyril Ramaphosa in Pretoria, South Africa. The president, as the chairman of ECOWAS, had to be there just to show his solidarity with the country, as well as his leadership role in ECOWAS as well. We'll be taking a break to pay some bills. When we come back, we'll be speaking with Rufai, Oseni. Do stay tuned. You're welcome back. This is still the front page review on Voice of the People 96.1 FM. At this point, we are live on YouTube. You can join us. Voice of the People Abuja. We're live on YouTube. Voice of the People Abuja. You can join our live feed at this point. Looking at the news this morning, I'm trying to reach out to Rufai, Oseni, and we're checking out the federal government still going ahead to request for new loans, $4.4 billion as our as our national debt is hitting 101 trillion naira. Total public debt has hit 101 trillion naira. This is still looking at worries of the cost of servicing external debt. As at the President Buhari's time, we were using over 18 naira to service debt. Out of every 100 naira, we were using 18 naira to service debt. That was during the Buhari's time. Now we're looking at what exactly is attainable at this point. Looking at the floating of the naira, the high inflation going on at the moment. This is an inflation situation that Nigeria has never seen. So looking at this situation, you begin to wonder what the cost of servicing external debts would be at this point. Let's watch and see whether the House of Assembly would approve this. It was also announced that the approval of a loan of 500 million in June 2023 to help Nigeria drive women's empowerment was approved. It was the second loan approved by the bank under this current administration, and it provided a scale-up financing for the Nigeria for Women program. Some of these programs that the president has run look a bit palliative in nature, and you begin to, all right, we have Rufai on the phone.
Apologize.
Good morning.
Morning, how are you? Bless you.
Bless you too. Mr. Rufai, we're seeing the federal government.
Hope it's not this money they are targeting, because you see we keep collecting loans. We collect 2.2 billion recently, Abi. We are targeting another 4 point something. How has the money impacted the people? They keep saying they want to use the money for the people. They will tell World Bank, United Nations, everybody are collecting loan for conditional cash transfer. They will speak all the English in the world and all of that. But how are they using the money to affect the people? We are benefiting. Yes, a being power, high economy as we speak today. We see how this government squanders the money. So all these loans, I don't know, they are their own. No.
Mr. Rufai,
all of this, they keep talking about buying. They want to buy new private jet, and that's the one that is on their head now. I know no matter how much we talk, they will not listen. They will still go ahead and buy the private jet either ways. But we'll keep talking. To be on record, we said the truth. So all this low somewhere. What are they doing with the money?
Mr. Rufai, the institutions that are giving us these loans, do they not have a responsibility to check? What is it? What? Yes. What?
Need to check, but see, you should also remember that Nigeria is a sovereign. So as long as they can couch the loan properly, you think they will follow up, and they don't care about you that much. Their own is they are giving you the loan so that you can be shackled to them. Pure and simple. Pure and simple. They're giving what's it called? A prominent government newspaper in the 50s and all of that. Ministry of Information used to release federal.
Hello? Hello? All right, we'll try to reconnect to Mr. Rufai at this point. The network has been a bit wonky. We'll try as much as we can to establish reconnection. Looking at the...
Yes, we have taken so much loans that we have become low, like my brother, ordinary president in your abuja there will say. Too much loans, but we're not doing anything with it.
$160.52 million, which was an increase exponentially 399% compared to what? Crazy figures.
And guess what? Apart from this loan, we're still doing a lot of bond issuance. I was reading on the papers this morning, the federal government just issued another bond at 19% yield. The thing on this, hope you know that it's also a form of loan. And the truth is, it might be a longer term. I think it was issued for 2033 or thereabout, a 9-year bond or thereabout. It will reach maturity in 9 years. Hope you know you are also going to pay the interest. on those bonds. Interest payment on the bonds we issued the last time was setting us back 1 trillion. And all of these bonds we still need to pay. So they are issuing more bonds as we speak. So all of this money coming into the coffers to be able to augment here and there. If you spend that money with accountability, at least we'll know you're accountable. We need to be careful. We need to be careful.
We keep hearing sacrifice, sacrifice, sacrifice.
Oh, can they sacrifice for you and I, guess? They can't. Can they sacrifice for the people listening to us? Never. Till today now, we have not heard the Minister of Agriculture come out to sacrifice. So it's a sacrifice. It's a sacrifice. Hey, Adam. Huh?
Mr. Rufai,
Yes,
is it possible?
Sacrifice like they are Elton John.
Is it possible that this might be a situation of a Buhari's situation there, where we were going to be appreciating him after he leaves office in terms of some of the things he put in motion? We're seeing the dividends this.
Yes, with due respect, APC has destroyed the economy of this country. And I'll give you empirical facts. You know me, I'm a man of facts. APC, when they came in with Buhari 6 years ago, met over 500 billion GDP. It was projected after we did replacing in 2012-2013 that if Nigeria harnesses properly, in the next 8 years, Nigeria will be going close to 1 trillion economy. They will 500 billion GDP. Today, APC has halved that GDP to $253 billion. They've destroyed the economy. All the success we're getting, we're having, they destroyed it. They've destroyed it so much that even Tinubu. But the funny thing now is that Tinubu is not even getting worse than Buhari. Worse than Buhari with knee-jerk reaction. It's obvious APC does not know anything about managing an economy. The hardship has never been this much.
Mr. Rufai, some people are arguing that it has to get worse before it gets better. But do you think?
When you say, let me tell you something, let me break that down. The argument is a lie. It gets worse before it gets better when you see a trajectory for it getting better. I'll give you an instance. Look at the Federal Reserve in America. Look at how they were increasing interest rates to be able to tame inflation. Things were hard at a point. But you know the trajectory. Today now, they've softened their interest rate stand. They've softened it because things are actually returning to normalcy. Look at UK, from 11%, they brought inflation down to 2% mark. And even at that, the people are still going to punish Rishi Sunak. There was an Ipsos Mori poll that came out, an NPR modeling system that came out for the first time, and already said what's going to happen in the election. That Labour is going to get majority seats, 453 seats. Conservative is going to get 115 or thereabout seats. Reform is going to get 3 seats. Leave them maybe 20-something seats and all of that. So you can see the modeling because they know it's going to be a landslide because they're going to punish Rishi Sunak and the Conservative Party. In fact, the Conservative Party is already working towards a replacement for Rishi Sunak as we speak. There are already people that are looking for leadership of the party. It gets worse before it gets better. Because when you have a trajectory, it's going to get better. President Tinubu does not have a trajectory of how it's going to get better. And I'll prove it to you. You floated the exchange rates. Where's the trajectory of increasing productivity in this economy? There's no trajectory of increasing productivity in the economy. If there's the plan, it should show us. Where's the plan? Where's the plan? The last plan he released, because that plan revealed the secret of the fact that you now have a 5-point-something trillion set aside in subsidy. They withdrew that plan. The reset plan they brought out. Where's the trajectory of how they will push about productivity in the economy? Where's that trajectory? Where's the trajectory? Till today, you say you remove subsidy so that the local industry can go on. Where is the crude oil production in the local industry? Where, I ask you? Have you even removed subsidy? You claim you removed subsidy. NNPC is still the largest importer. NNPC is still subsidizing. So where is the trajectory? Those that tried to come into the import business of bringing petrol in, they got burnt. Because obviously NNPC was setting the price. NNPC sets the price, and you claim you remove subsidy. Is it a free market? No. So we are back to subsidy payment. Anyway, I don't have problems with us paying subsidy. I need to put in the effect on the life of the people. Where are all the interventions and social interventions? Till today, where are the food that you say you're going to cultivate? Where? Where are the loans you said you were going to give to industries? Where are the money? Where are the single digit interest rates? Loans I said you're going to give to industry. Where is the stimulus packages for small businesses till today? Where? All of these things, you just say them. You said this thing last year. You are going to cultivate, give soft loans, CNG buses. Where are they? So you can't tell me it's going to get better because there's no trajectory of it is going to get better. There's no implementable trajectory of it is going to get better. It's not implementing anything. It's just talking.
All right, Mr. Rufai, let's move on from this particular story to another one about River State. I mean, we're seeing how that has unfolded. Policemen barred the newly inaugurated caretaker chairman from accessing their offices in all the 23 local government headquarters. We're still seeing responses. Meanwhile, some are arguing that when it comes to this issue of the local government chairman, that the State House of Assembly has the power to determine the tenure of the local government area chairman and not the governor.
At first, both of them are wrong in the first place. What does the Constitution say? Once their tenure is over, let them go. Pure and simple, that's what the Constitution says. So both Fubara has not done election, and those that are trying to extend it for 6 months, they are both wrong. Now the police are taking over. Now APC is calling for state of emergency. Now Fubara has gone to also swear caretaker. Our Constitution does not have a rule for caretaker. And what was the big deal about doing elections? But we all know that this is because of the fight between Wike and Fubara. And all of this is at the expense of the suffering people. No governance, nothing. And please, Nigerians get it twisted. Doing roads is not governance. Governance is outcomes to problems. So if you say you have 40% inflation rate,
Now,
or 40% unemployment rate in Rivers, what's the outcome of how you can reduce that number? That's governance. Governance is outcome based. Road is a route to outcome. Because we get it twisted. Somebody does a road, he does a road for how many million? He used 5 million to collect media, they make noise about it. He said he has done something. No. What are the outcomes to better the lots of the people? What are the outcomes to better the lot of the people?
Well,
Pure and simple.
we're seeing them setting to send an astronaut to space. I don't know if that will not benefit Nigerians at this point.
As long as they are not going to waste money on that, there's no bad thing for scientific exploration. But as long as they are not going to waste money and going to steal money with that again, because any idea now, you have to look at these people with a fight to come. Because it's how to steal, to collect, and to do all sorts of shenanigans. As long as they are not going to use that to do all sorts of shenanigans. No problems with scientific exploration. I mean, we had a satellite in space the other time, but how well did we use that satellite? We wouldn't launch 2 satellites. But how well did we use it? Did we use it to benefit ourselves? It's not supposed to be a big deal. It's because Nigeria is playing too low. It's not supposed to be a big deal. Elon Musk sends rockets to space almost every time now. It's not supposed to be a big deal. The Starlink you are seeing, why is pervasive everywhere in the world? Is the fact that, in fact, I'm using Starlink adverts. Elon Musk, come and pay also. The Starlink you are seeing is because it's satellites. So it's not supposed to be a big deal. But our own satellites are going to fight Boko Haram. Do we even have proper mapping and imaging? Have we gotten results and outcomes? So I don't have problems with scientific exploration. It's supposed to be a welcome thing. But because of the fact the way Nigeria is, everything is first lost to all sorts of shenanigans. It's sad. It's sad. It's sad. Things are so expensive. I love to eat dragon fruit as part of my diet. The other day, somebody said, "Oh, they got me dragon fruit." It was only one dragon fruit, 10,000 naira. One. I couldn't buy it.
What was the price before?
They used to buy dragon fruit more than 3,000.
Wow.
Huh? It was only one dragon fruit, 10,000 naira. Okay, everything done there. Okay, everything done there. A friend of mine was talking to me yesterday that 2 million naira was 800,000 CFA in Abidjan. 2 million naira. I remember the time where we used to change, what is it called, CFA for less than 70 naira, for 1,000 CFA. In this same Nigeria. In this same Nigeria. In fact, see, I kid you not, 1,000 CFA was still less than 500 naira before President Buhari came in. Yes. Even all the Nigerians that go across the border that go and buy goods from Togo, most of that business are shut down. Because they used to buy those goods based on the exchange rate, the fact that they could get like a leverage. Today they can't do that any longer. Before what's it called? President Buhari came, just 8 years ago here, CFA was less than 500 naira CFA to 1,000 CFA. Please have a great day. God bless you.
Thank you,
It
Mr.
is well
Rufai,
with
for your
Nigeria.
time. It is well with us. All right, you have the opportunity to let us know what you think about it. You can leave a comment on our YouTube. It is at Voice of the People Abuja. Leave a comment right there on excuse me, our YouTube page. You can also reach us on WhatsApp 0700 010 961 961 0700 010 961 961. I'll go ahead and pay some bills. When I come back, I'll be speaking with Mr. Larry Oguego in just a moment. Stay tuned. Welcome back. This is still the front page review, Voice of the People 96.1 FM. My name is Gesiri. If you're just joining us, you're welcome to the show. We've checked out a lot of headlines this morning. Federal government eyeing $4.4 billion new loans. As debts, public debt has hit 101 trillion naira. Looking at the news, we've been having a lot of issues, especially with the exchange debt servicing. Rather, we have increased about 399% more than it was January 2023 to January 2024. That's on a year-on-year basis. We've increased exponentially, and you have to also check out the fact that how much more can we keep servicing debts here in the country? It's expensive. It takes so much, especially without reaping the dividends of these debts, seeing the investments coming to fruition here in the country. All right, we have Mr. Larry on the phone. Good morning and welcome to the show.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. So how is the day shaping up?
It's shaping up to be nice. Well, the news is not as nice, Mr. Larry. Maybe we'll start with River State before we move on to other things. We're seeing the police barring the newly inaugurated caretaker chairman from accessing their offices in all the 23 local government headquarters.
Yeah, I didn't get that.
We are having police barring the newly inaugurated caretaker chairman from accessing their offices in all the 23 local government headquarters in River State. That's what's playing out at the moment.
Well, that's unfortunate. As far as I'm concerned, we shouldn't allow the police to be dragged into some of these issues to that extent, because you need to ask simple questions. Unfortunately, we have a policing institution that is controlled, as it were, by the federal government. And when certain things happen, we saw these things play out in River State when Amechi was having problems with Wike. So you notice this issue of the federal police, in quote, behaving in a way that seems to frustrate a governor that is not in line with what the federal the government wants. That is the party in power at the center, and that is dangerous. That's one of the reasons why I talk about being careful about state policing. Imagine if we had a state police now, there would be a clash of policing institutions, obviously, because the state police will try to enforce what the governor said. The federal police will say no, that you shouldn't occupy the space. And the state police will say no, this is our territory. This is our House of Assembly. And before you know what is happening, you have a conflagration. So we need to be careful about how we manage institutions, because if the laws are there and you say, okay, they won't occupy the space, at least as it is now, let's even go back a little. If you want to look at these things dispassionately, these guys are saying, oh, the House of Assembly extended their tenure. There are two issues to look at there. Issue number one is the House of Assembly that extended your tenure is struggling to be legitimate. As a matter of fact, the legitimacy is still in question. So you cannot stand on that their action and say your tenure was extended, because the matter has not even ended. As we speak, several cases are flying around about their legitimacy. So if their legitimacy is in question, how can you stand on their extension? Then the second thing is that the law that they relied on said that if there is a war that River State is involved in, and as far as I'm concerned, last time I checked, there was no war in River State. There's no war that River State was involved in. In other words, if it's impossible because of this and that and that and that they will extend. They relied on circumstances and situations that are not
our reality or River State's
the power they assumed. What I'm saying basically is that the state should be careful. When I say the state, I mean the nation rather should be careful about making police a political institution. That's why a lot of governors are saying we want state And then a lot of people are looking at it from a perspective of security, but a lot of governors are looking at it from a perspective of having their own legitimate muscle to do certain things. And ultimately, this is a game of chess that they are playing with the lives of people of Rivers State and residents of Rivers State. Because if you block them from assuming office, then you, the police, go and do the job now. The people have rejected the former local government chairman. Whichever way you look at it, if you go and check public opinion, people are saying, leave the governor to lead us. Apart from this local government crisis. So these guys are not gauging the mood of the people, and that's why democracy is not working. I'm not saying that when people do what is illegal, that you should gauge the mood. But the truth of the matter is that we're in a country where sometimes military men wake up, stage a coup d'etat, and force us to lead us, or rather to rule us. And we accept it. But when the people in a democracy say, we don't want this thing, we'll be playing games with it. We want to muzzle them. I think they should be careful, because this is why the average Nigerian doesn't really trust the police, and they don't trust politicians. Stalemate, where we are not allowing the newly sworn in persons to take office. Let us even assume that it's not legitimate for them to take office. Why not let's just revert to the heads of administration leading the local government for now? We don't know how to manage our problems because we are living in a vacuum that is unnecessary. But thank God for the civil service system. The truth is that as it is now, the wealthy local government areas, in quotes, are physically barricaded or in turmoil of some sort. And of course, even the workers will be afraid for their lives. So what has happened is that the battle between these two elephants is not a matter of the grass suffering and the grass is choking. People are choking. People can't go to work. They can't do their legitimate duties. People who live in some of those neighborhoods may even be afraid to stay in their homes because of stray bullets. Of course, you know that people have died in the past few days, including police officers, at least one police officer. So you begin to ask yourself, do we deserve this? What is, I mean, if you're a governor and you finished your tenure, the proper thing to thinking that we need to begin to mount pressure on weekends political stalemate. It doesn't help anybody. And in any case, as it is now, what has happened is that the governor has effectively dismantled what you call his political structure. His commissioners are not there anymore. They have resigned. And by the time the local government people go, it means that there isn't much left. But there is structure, there is political structure that people should respect. It should actually be. And if the people have accepted this man as their governor, and the law accepted the man as the governor, I think the man should be allowed to lead the state. But you see, the police is on a mission impossible. Ultimately, they cannot bring those men back. This should be, I mean, it is not only obvious, it should also be obvious to them. They are just postponing the evil day, probably buying time to check the next move to make. But I think all these things, they move too many. We should just allow rivers to breathe. We should allow rivers. I mean, when I say we, I mean, even the ordinary Nigerians should begin to weigh in on this matter, not just rivers. We shouldn't allow this madness to continue. I mean, I had somebody saying the other day on a radio station comment that he said, they were interviewing him and he said, I'm tired of talking about Rivers State. So I started laughing. I said, well, you can't get tired though, because until the job is done, you have to continue doing it. But we have to keep appealing to the former governor of Rivers State. Please, I mean, this man is governor. He's the de facto governor. He has been sworn in as governor. He has won his cases in court. He's the governor now. Let him lead Rivers State. Let time tell whether he will lead well or not. If he doesn't lead well, the people will get rid of him. But if he leads well, he will stay. I don't know what else to tell them, because we have talked about it and it's just about ego now. I've said it originally. This is not just ego now, it has become ego. And it's getting nastier. If not for the ego, we shouldn't come this far. But the ego is involved. And that is where the problem is. But ultimately, I think that it's the road to nowhere that Wike and his people have embarked on. I don't see them achieving much as it is now, because the political structure has been all but dismantled. So let them just pull back all these the delay tactics and distractions. Let the police get out of this so that somehow the state will find peace and make progress.
All right, let's watch and see how the drama plays out in Rivers State. The NCDC, on the other hand, they are saying that they might declare a state of emergency on the outbreak of cholera in the country. I mean, we've not seen a case here in the FCT, but it's becoming a thing of concern.
So if it's already in some other places and is ravaging the health of the people, the best thing to do is not only to declare the state of emergency by a mouse, but to begin a proper campaign, well-coordinated campaign to get people to understand how to stop this spread. I mean, it's not rocket science. It's just hygiene. You know, a few weeks ago, I was talking with the Commissioner for Health, and I told him that I'm surprised that nobody is actually teaching people basic hygiene, basic ways to protect oneself. We're waiting for foreigners to give us mosquito net. We're waiting for foreigners to give us everything, to give us funding, to go and tell people that you have to wash your hands before you eat, that you don't put your hands in your mouth without watching it as much as possible. You can avoid putting your hands in your mouth. That I don't think we need to get grants and funding to do these things. But we have become so lazy and grant-minded. We have become a beggarly nation. So when you have to say, oh, there's no money. Do you need money, for instance, to mobilize the school system, like in the good old days, to teach children
how to wash
their hands, how to cross main road, how to do simple things? Do you need grant to do that? Everything now is NGO, grant, this, that. Because it's a failure of the health sector. I'm not saying that these things don't happen, but I'm saying that they can be prevented and they can be better managed. We shouldn't be talking about just the state of emergency. We should have plans in place to educate people on basic hygiene and how it affects their health. And we have institutions that can do that free of charge. We have the school system, we have the faith-based organizations. If you talk now, they'll say we need money. We need 1 billion, 10 billion. But this is about just being passionate about your work. There is no faith-based organization, whether Christian, Muslim, or any other organization, that doesn't want the people in that organization to be healthy. And there is no school community that doesn't want the people to be healthy. So while they're declaring state of emergency, let them also think of a sustainable way to bring back basic health education, basic hygiene education, not just in schools, but across the board. So people will have knowledge. If you check, you find out that cholera and dysentery and all of those things happen more. They are more endemic in areas where you have crowding and poverty and all of that, where you also don't have much of educated persons. And you don't have much water and sanitation. So we need to begin to think of holistic solutions. While they are also telling us about the state of emergency, they should tell the politicians to do the needful, provide toilet facilities, provide running water. Stop telling us about you are buying cars for 160 million. No, use that money for the benefit of the people. Some of these things can be prevented. You don't go to advanced countries where they have toilet facilities and people get proper education and hear about cholera or dysentery outbreak. These are things that you see in Africa and the Southeast Asia, where you have predominantly poor nations and poor people. So we need to get out of poverty too. So they can declare the state of emergency, fine, but I think they should go beyond declaring or talking about state of emergency. They should begin to think long term. What can we do to stop this cycle? If they don't do that, it means that they're not serious, no matter what they declare.
All right. We hope that even NOA, I don't know if they're sleeping at this point, to do their jobs, especially in the sensitization of Nigerians, letting them know that we need to wash our hands.
NOA is emasculated, though. I'll be honest with you, NOA exists on paper now. And the reason is simple. It's even difficult for NOA to talk. If the National Orientation Agency decides to talk to the people, the people will actually ask them to also talk to the leaders. I think the NOA is actually sidelined completely because the government cannot find the moral courage to talk about orientation. You can't be talking about orientation when you are doing the wrong thing. I mean, you drive against traffic, you beat traffic lights, you beat traffic lights, you do anything you want to do as a leader sitting in office. You waste resources. You take wrong decisions when the constitution says go right, go left. So how can you now tell somebody to give Nigerians orientation? What orientation is he going to be giving Nigerians when you are not doing the same orientation through your body language, through the things you do? So I think the National Orientation Agency is now just there for decoration. Even if you give them money and they talk, you cannot talk. Because what are you going to say now? Are you going to say stop corruption? The people who are leading us are more corrupt than the ordinary people. Are you going to say be orderly? They are not orderly. What are you going to tell the people now? That is why National Orientation Agency is not funded. It's just there. They pay salary to their staff. Some of them don't go to work. They just know that there's nothing. See, you can't do orientation when your boss is behaving against that, modeling everything that's against what orientation you're going to give. So how does it work? I don't mention National Orientation Agency again because these politicians have deliberately killed that institution. They have killed it. They just remaining to bury it. That is the day they disband it, means they have buried it. But it's there. They don't want to disband it. But and it should be reactivated. Imagine that soldiers created a system to give people orientation, and the politicians, the people who are running a so-called democracy, are so distant from the people that they don't even want to talk to them. They don't want to tell them, go right, go left, this is the right way to do things, because they know they're not doing things the right way. So I think we should just leave the National Orientation Agency alone. They are collecting their salaries, and they should chop it and then wait until we have leaders who have the moral courage to actually give people direction, not just through the Orientation Agency, but through their actions and their own words. Until we get there, they will not want the National Orientation Agency to talk, because if they talk, they will indict the leaders.
All right, let's move on from that and move on to another story. 900 pilgrims died from heat waves during the 5 days activity of the 2020. A scorching heat in Saudi Arabia led to the deaths of at least 600 Egyptians and 300 individuals of different nationals. At this point, what do you make of this?
Well, just yesterday I was looking at some magnificent parasols and other structures that was raised by the Saudi government to cool down some spaces and all of that. But it appears not to have stopped the heat wave from taking lives. One of the things we must do is to make sure that when I say we, I mean Nigeria, and others can do what they think is necessary. But we must make sure that people who go to Hajj are healthy and they are taught how to hydrate and how to manage some of these things, because this is not the first time we're having challenges with heat waves. I mean, the Middle East can be extremely hot. So people need to be taught how to manage the situation. And if the person is not healthy enough, the person is frail, then the person shouldn't even go altogether. We have a duty to protect our citizens. Even if the person wants to go there and say, I want to die in the Holy Land, the person, no, we don't want you to die there. Let the people who are healthy go. I'm not in a position to advise the Saudi government on what to do. I mean, this is a problem they have always had. This is a cash cow for them, $15 billion a year. And they've invested plenty of money, for instance, in cooling fountains, parasols, and all that. What I think we should focus on is how it affects us. So let us do everything we can to ensure that we don't lose any citizen to any religious pilgrimage or to any other thing that is preventable for that matter.
All right. Right here in Nigeria, we have the courts, the Federal High Court here in Abuja, on Wednesday dismissing the fundamental rights enforcement suit that was filed by the African Regional Manager of Binance Holdings Limited, Nadeem Anjuwala, who was on the run, against the NSA and the EFCC. And the Justice Eko, in a short ruling, dismissed the suit for lack of diligent prosecution. I know the case is still in court, and the judge has the final say on this, but what do you make of it?
Sorry, say the judge dismissed. I didn't get the line misbehaved a little.
Fundamental human rights enforcement suit that was filed by Nadim Anjawala, the regional African regional manager for Binance Holdings. He filed a suit, fundamental human rights enforcement suit, for against the NSA and the EFCC, and the court dismissed the case for lack of diligent prosecution.
Well, for me, what I find puzzling in the first place is that you have to file a fundamental human rights case when you have evidence, or at least when you have the feeling that your rights are about to be infringed upon. And I suspect that is the man that fled that filed the suit, right?
Yes.
And that is another issue. That is, you were in detention. You fled the country. If you suspected that your right was going to be abridged, if you suspected that your right was going to be abused, or that it was already being abused, you should have filed a suit to ask to be allowed to go home, to be released, or to ask the court to enforce your rights. When you run away and then you are a fugitive, as far as the law is concerned, you run away from lawful custody, and then you're filing a fundamental human rights suit so that your rights will be enforced. You're going to equity with dirty hands. You know, we sometimes we don't look at some of those things. But I think what he did was to engage in self-help, somehow found a way to escape, and then you are now trying to use what we may call loopholes in law to now give yourself soft landing. And of course, the court decided to dismiss it. They have a choice to go to appeal if they want to. But as it is, it stands dismissed, and like you already mentioned, the judge has a final say in that particular court. So if they want to go and appeal, fine.
All right. The federal government is eyeing $4.4 billion new loans as the debt, public debt, Nigerian public debt hits 101 trillion naira. I mean, this is amidst worries about the increasing cost of debt servicing in the country. We've seen it grow exponentially over the years since the administration, this APC's administration, came into power. What do you make of this? We had already gotten about 2 billion dollars in loans just recently, and now we're seeing a $4.4 billion loan request by the federal government.
It's sad, actually. The country is gradually being mortgaged to foreign interests. The truth is that we're a wealthy nation. God, unfortunately, we have leaders. They are not diligent in harnessing, getting the best, the most out of what we have. We live in a country where we allow foreigners to mine and smuggle solid minerals in convoys of trailers, trucks, and take them out of Nigeria. And we look the other way, because people have been paid what should have gone to Nigeria, a fraction of what should have gone to Nigeria for these things to happen. So we allow Nigeria to bleed. We allow Nigeria to lose money, lose its substance. Yet we go to take loans from the countries whose nation has come here to plunder Nigeria. What we just suffer is lack of leadership and also lack of followership. Because when you go to those places where illegal mining happens, you find out that Nigerians are working for the foreigners. When you go to where they steal our crude oil, you find out Nigerians collaborate with the thieves. Sometimes Nigerians are the thieves. So we shouldn't be talking about borrowing money. We should be talking about lending discombobulated as a nation. And what we're doing now is to use loans to give ourselves life support. Not just that. When they collect the money, what do they do with it? You don't even want to talk about that. It will take eternity to look into the fact that most of the money is not properly used. It's unfortunate, because when you borrow money and use it to do things that people can see and that will impact people's lives, not just that they can see it. But for instance, if you do this, your famous coastal road, we will see it. But as far as I'm concerned, the priority is terrible. It's almost useless. Because if you compare what the money can do, if you use it to fix the rest of the roads in Nigeria, it's much more impact. But because nobody is thinking about us, really, they're not thinking about us. They're just thinking about their plans, how to get more money and use the money to perpetuate themselves in office. These are the basic issues. Because we don't need to be taking loans. Give Nigeria to a leader that is creative and that is disciplined and that is not greedy. Nigeria will bounce back in a few years and become a leader of nations. We have the resources, human, natural, whatever. This is one of the most blessed countries in the world, if not the most blessed, and I'm not joking. So we shouldn't be talking about loans. But we have leaders who want the easy route. I mean, they are not leaders. They are basically opportunists who just want the easy way to make money. And that easy way is to loot Nigeria. The average Nigerian politician, not all of them, the average politician goes into politics primarily to make money and have power. If you notice that the leadership selection process makes it extremely difficult for a decent person to emerge a leader in our politics. So if you have to find 100 million to contest, to get documentation, to contest for an election, you may not win. How does a decent person get a function in that system? So it tells you that the system was wired for these guys to just stay there and mess up the rest of the nation. Every time loan. And you look at the country, you can't see the effect of the loan. We can't really make progress without fighting insecurity. So all these loans that are taken is waste of time, is waste of money. Because once the nation is not secure, all these other things will not work. But give us security and quality leadership, and every other thing will be added onto Nigeria. Unfortunately, they're hard of hearing. But I hope that one day, maybe they will just get the anointing to begin to listen to the voice of the people.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Larry. Our time is fast spent. If not, we would have continued these conversations because, interestingly, I have a different perspective on the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway. Looking at the number of communities it would connect to, 9 states, it is set to foster trade, commerce, and the argument is that we don't even have roads in the country. That's the argument. Anyway, maybe we'll unfold that first thing tomorrow.
Yeah, we can talk about it, but there's something called comparative analysis. The point is, at what cost? That's the first question. And then the other question is, what's the opportunity cost? What else could we have done with that money on roads? These are critical questions, really. East-west roads uncompleted. Then several roads in Nigeria are impassable, practically impassable. You can't travel from Abuja, our nation's capital, to Lokoja in style. It doesn't work. You can't travel from Enugu to Port Harcourt. You can't travel from Enugu to Onitsha. You can't travel from Onitsha to Bini. You can't go from anywhere to anywhere. And you're doing brand new roads that will cost an arm and a leg.
All right.
If you're a man and you have 3 uncompleted buildings and you have money, you want to go and build a high-rise somewhere where you have 3 uncompleted buildings, common sense says that you should go and complete those 3. Maybe with income from those 3, assuming you give us good roads like they do in Lagos, you can put targets that we won't mind as long as you manage the money well. Maintain the roads, go and do another one. But a situation where you have 10 abandoned properties and you want to go and build a brand new property with the money you should have used to complete other ones.
All right.
I think the person we need to have his head examined. But we have to look at, if we look at all of the facts, in my opinion, it's a misplaced priority.
All right, Mr. Larry, our time is fast spent.
That's my position.
All right. Thank you so much for your time. We'll continue tomorrow. Thank you so much.